Christianity is a white man's religion. There's no reason that a black man should ever be a Christian. Have you ever heard of Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, people like that? Man, that's a slave master talking. Free your mind, bro. Liberate yourself. You should read your history, man. That's the white man's religion.
Christianity is a white man's religion. Stop lying, speak with precision. Stop buying what they teach in the prisons. Don't be deceived, pick truth over fiction. They say that Christianity is a white man's religion, but stop lying, speak with precision. Stop buying what they teach in the prisons. Don't be deceived, pick truth over fiction. So they say that Christianity is the white man's religion, but how? When it started in the Middle East, Jesus wasn't even white, he was a man of color.
Motherfucker! Aye. Yeah. Please don't count it as a act of faith. Nah. If I'm right with this kind of formula, yeah. 'Cause I know what you might have to say. I just wanna be ready if they hate for me. Yeah. Please don't count it as a act of faith. Nah. If I'm right with this kind of formula, yeah. 'Cause I know what you might have to say. I just wanna be ready if they hate for me.
O Lord, let me not be put to shame, for I call upon you. Let the wicked be put to shame. Let them go silently to Sheol. Let the lying lips be mute, which speak insolently against the righteous in pride and contempt. Oh, how abundant is your goodness, which you have stored up for those who fear you, and worked for those who take refuge in you in the sight of the children of mankind.
Lies are being spread in the streets. Christians been in Africa way before Europe. I encourage you to look at facts. We see Philip bring the gospel to an African. In the 8th chapter of the book of Acts, lots of black religions are popping up in the new schools. And the main source of theology is YouTube. Who knew so many would eat the doo-doo? A racist religion can't possibly be true, dude. Discrimination is a hell of a prison. Now so many people are cuddle left evangelicalism. See, black America still searches for identity, but you'll never find that yelling out obscenities. Africans been serving other Africans for centuries. It still happens today, and that's the fact that you are mentioning. Hebrew Israelites been causing devastation, but many of the leaders have 8th grade educations. No degrees, no credentials. Wikipedia, theologian, your lies are monumental. We're inundated, so we don't need any more of them. False gospel preaching, Google historians, Nation of Islam, chemists, Bible centers, more. Your workspace faith can't get you to the Lord. And I know you've been hurt and disappointed by the church. We apologize, but your false religion makes it worse. Most churches in the hood don't preach sound doctrines. So Yeshua was the only way, there ain't no other option.
Christianity is a white man's religion.
Stop lying, speak with precision. Stop buying what they teach in the prisons. Don't be deceived, pick truth over fiction. They say that Christianity is a white man's religion, but stop lying, speak with precision. Stop buying what they teach in the prisons. Don't be deceived, pick truth over fiction. It's crazy, but most people haven't seen this. Africa was once home to Jesus. Matthew 2, Yeshua lived in Egypt. Some haters, which is part of the Bible, was deleted. The black presence in the Bible so evident. Africans show up in the Old and New Testament. Jethro, Zipporah, and even Zephaniah were among African leaders and biblical writers. Simon the Cyrene, who helped Christ carry the cross, was African. Don't let that truth be lost. Sadly, a lot of white Christians own slaves, and white Christians also helped to end the transatlantic trade. White Christians make love a priority. Many keep ignoring the pain of minorities. We gotta bear each other's burdens, so don't continue to debate people while they're hurting.
Christianity is a white man's religion.
Stop lying, speak with precision. Stop buying what they teach in the prisons. Don't be deceived, pick truth over fiction. They say that Christianity is a white man's religion, but stop lying, speak with precision. Stop buying what they teach in the prisons. Don't be deceived, pick truth over fiction.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. for the Win here, and in today's GTA 5 video, we're going to be talking about some more details regarding the online casino update, including more changes that could be coming, as well as some interesting information from some Rockstar insiders, and a whole lot more. Okay, so anyways, let's dive into it and let's get it started today. One of the biggest questions that I've been getting over the past couple of days is any more changes going to be made to the casino? Because a lot of people have seen the stage 3 changes that we're currently at right now, and have been wondering if any more changes are going to come about. And I think this is happening for 2 reasons. The first reason is this image started floating around. Now, I don't know where this came from or who originally found it, but you can see there are some differences in the casino here. It almost looks as if it's got an extra set or an extra week of changes. And the one big difference that I notice is in front of the casino entrance, next to the slot sign, there's this blue construction fence. That is currently not there. Like, if we go to that same spot in the casino right now, you'll find that instead there's like two steel pipes or concrete pipes. So that is not there. Now, another thing you also might notice in this photo is that there is a blue coming soon sign still on the front. So that's weird. That shouldn't be there if you're this close to the casino. So I don't know if this photo was fake or if it was a glitch that someone had experienced, but this is something that was floating around and a lot of people were saying, haha, that means there's going to be another week of changes coming about. Well, not so fast. I don't necessarily think that's the case. However, another reason why people believed a new set of changes was likely coming out was because you can still see the opening soon sign from a distance. One of you guys pointed this out to me on my Facebook page, that if you actually go across the highway, you can still see the opening soon sign. It hasn't been removed. Now, I'm sure that there's going to be a few of you guys that can explain this way better than I can in the comments down below. Game development, coding design is certainly not my specialty, so maybe you can explain why at a distance the casino sign, the opening soon sign is there, but when we get close up, it's not there. My non-scientific evidence is going to be that because Rockstar had to remove this sign via tunables, it gets kind of weird when you get further away. Whereas all the other props, like the dumpster and the mobile office, they added, they didn't remove, which is why those have no problem staying at a distance. Again, maybe some of you smarter guys can explain in the comments down below, but that is so weird that if we go at a distance, the opening soon sign will still be there. And so again, this prompted a lot of people to say, why is this happening? Does this mean Rockstar will make some changes? Will they officially change the sign on the front of the casino? Regarding the sign on the front of the casino, I think Rockstar made it pretty obvious that that doesn't have anything to do with the next update. They specifically said, don't let the recent removal of that faded opening soon sign dissuade you. And I think a reason why they haven't added a new sign or a new banner is because that current casino, the Be Lucky Los Santos, is not going to be the casino. We obviously know it's going to be the Diamond Resort. So that's just kind of interesting right there. Those are a couple of changes that I have noticed and some other people have noticed as well. Now, let's talk about some info from Rockstar Insider Test Funds 2 regarding any more potential changes that could come about. The other day he said this, is there really anything they can add to the mess they have created at the casino entrance? I personally think that's all we are going to get in terms of casino props. So that was the other day, and Rockstar Insider Test Funds 2 thought that that was going to be the end of the casino props. And earlier today he responded to someone that said, regarding the casino construction event, is that already in its final stage, or is the final stage happening Thursday? He said, already in its final stage, no more changes will happen from now on. So there you have it, folks. It looks like that is our answer right there, that there is not going to be any more changes to the casino coming. Now, what this means will happen this Thursday, I'm not sure. We know that we won't see anything physically happen in-game, but I believe there's a good chance that Rockstar could announce something on their newswire. It seems that every Thursday they always seem to give out some new information regarding the casino, at least the past 2 weeks. So if they didn't do anything this week, it would kind of be breaking a pattern. Now, what could be coming about on Thursday? The only thing that Rockstar have stated is that we'll be getting more details and an inside look at the Diamond Casino Resort. Now, if that means new screenshots, that's awesome. If that means a trailer, that's terrific. If it means just more details in the form of text, that's still pretty cool. So whatever comes about on Thursday, I will be sure to keep you updated and we'll break down everything Rockstar has to tell us about the casino. But anyways, let's move on to some more information. Test Funds 2 was able to dive into the code of GTA 5 and found some interesting details regarding the interior files for several DLCs, when they were actually created. And what's interesting is it gives us an idea of when the interiors were created before the update came out. So this first one right here is for the Arena War. It was created on November 6, 2018. Remember, that update didn't come out until December 12, 2018. So the interior was finished about a month and a week before the update came out. This next one is for after hours, and you can see there is a huge difference there. The after hour interiors were finished on March 20th, 2018. And we know that that update didn't come out until the end of July. That is insane. So the interior was finished months before the update itself actually came out. Again, kind of interesting stuff right there. If we move on to some more updates, Doomsday Heist was created on November 17, 2017, and we know that that update came out in early December. And then Smuggler's Run was created on June 15, 2017, and we know that that update didn't come out until August 2017. So it's interesting the amount of time that Rockstar spends on building the interiors for the properties and ultimately businesses of the updates that come out in the DLC. But what's interesting is the amount of time that Rockstar spent on After Hours, which is one of the more recent updates. So you can almost guarantee that Rockstar spent a ton of time designing the casino interior when it does arrive for the Diamond. Now, sort of a little bit of extra trivia here. You guys know what Rockstar posted the other day on their newswire? It was the sort of like logo for the Diamond Casino and Resort. It had that opening soon in Los Santos in sort of purple background at the bottom, and there were diamonds falling. So that was like a video that they posted on the newswire that anyone can download, anyone can share. Well, some trivia regarding that, it was created a long time ago. Remember, that newswire post came out on June 20th, 2019. Well, that video right there was created on June 5th, almost 3 weeks ago. So it seems as if Rockstar has been planning this for a long, long time, which you would assume if they were, creating a really sophisticated update like this. But again, that's just kind of interesting right there, that it seems as if this update has been in the works for a long time. I mean, we know it's been in the works for a long time just because of everything that was supposed to happen with the casino update and single player and whatnot. But again, more evidence here that suggests Rockstar have been working on this DLC for a long, long time. And that can only be good news because that means they've had lots of times to perfect all the issues and bugs that might pop up during this process. But anyways, that's all the information that I've got for you guys in this video today. Hopefully you did enjoy. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you think is going to happen on Thursday this week? Do you think we are going to get another set of surprise changes to the casino? Do you think...
If I want better rates, my deposits take up to 5 days to reach India. But if I want fast transfers, I have to settle for lesser rates? That's a bad compromise. Irki le rahe ho kya? Switch to...
Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to another GTA Online Casino DLC video. My name is Saintsman, and today I'm going to be answering some of your guys' questions from Twitter about the Casino DLC. But before we get into that, I'm going to keep mentioning it because, or in case anyone hasn't entered, I'm doing another $8 million shark card giveaway. I'm going to be picking the winner. I'll probably either pick it Wednesday or Thursday, and then on Friday I will probably be doing another one of these until the DLC comes out. So if you guys want to make $1 million in GTA Online, then go follow me on Twitter. Link to that in the description below. Now the questions. So we got some interesting questions here. So the first one from Thugs Eat Oreos. Do you think we will be able to buy a hotel room in the casino? I would not care if it's like $3 million, but I just want to be able to set our spawn to the hotel room. So what makes this question so interesting is there's actually in the spawn location option in the interaction menu, there's a way, I don't know how, I think it may just be like a random thing, but there's a hotel spawn location. We take a look at this picture, you can see spawn location hotel. This was something I believe that initially at the beginning of GTA Online this was something that was cut basically. I want to say that the hotel that Rockstar was going to add was going to be a place for a character if you didn't have an apartment or any other place to spawn. Like that would have been the one safe spawn location. I guess they just took it out. Not entirely sure why, but we do know from that initially that was supposed to be a spawn location. So maybe that's what ends up happening with the casino. It sounds more and more likely that the casino is going to be something that we partially own rather than fully own, which is unlike pretty much every other property in the game, which I guess makes a lot more sense because it's one location where like people at the arena and the nightclubs and offices, you could have everyone theoretically in the same office, and everyone owns it equally. Everyone shares the same alley pad and all that, so it makes a lot more sense that with this casino, you're going to be owning it partially. If that's the case, though, that means there may not be a specific option to actually spawn in the casino, because if it's a publicly owned place that like everyone can own access to, and if there's only one interior, it wouldn't make much sense to have everyone spawn in the same interior. So that's where they could have some sort of hotel room option. And it makes a lot of sense if we think of the name that Rockstar have given us, the Diamond Casino and Resort. Resort is where people stay. So I think that's what we're going to end up getting. Instead of having a spawn location in the casino, we're going to have the spawn location in the hotel or in the resort. Now, I'm assuming the resort's going to be the building like to the left of the casino, because the casino itself isn't very big. And I don't know, I'm thinking maybe this is why we might see some exterior changes to that area, just to make it a little bit more modern, a little bit, or to make the interior make a little bit more sense, perhaps. But that left building is the perfect place to actually have a little hotel room. They mentioned there's like going to be some exclusive spending, so maybe that could be like a little mall area as well. And also,
the natural world has been bounteous to us.
I like to call them ambassadors from Gaia.
It's not just pretty colors and exciting feelings.
The Joe Rogan experience.
When did things get weird? When did you realize, like at what point in time did you say, hey, this is not normal work? Like, this doesn't even seem like it's from this planet.
That, I can't tell you what day that occurred on, because so much time has gone by, the days have kind of fused into one, and I can't separate the days.
Was it a slow burn, or was there a moment of recognition?
Well, the first inkling I had was when I came in. There's this facility that is at S4. It's in the side of a mountain. And normally we had pulled in with the bus and gone around the front through a normal double door. This time that I went in, there were hangar doors open. I went in through the hangar door, and in the hangar door was the disc, the flying saucer that I worked on. I saw it sitting there, and we walked by it. It had a little American flag stuck on the side, and I thought, oh my God, this finally explains all the flying saucer stories. This is just an advanced fighter. This is fucking hilarious.
Right.
So I went by, I slid my hand alongside it. I got reprimanded immediately for touching the thing. And there was a guy, an armed guard, that followed us in and just said, keep your eyes forward and your hands at your side. And just so that was the first time I had seen anything that was weird. It was sometime later that I was introduced to my lab partner, Barry, and we had some of the subcomponents of the craft in the lab, and Barry was very anxious to get a new lab partner, so he was very talkative and couldn't wait to show me different things. And it was a demonstration of the reactor where it caught my attention. This is technology that doesn't exist. So, I mean, that was the first time I knew that this is really something.
What was it? And what was it? What was it about this that made you think that it didn't exist? Technology.
Well, it was that I actually had to back up because there briefings that I read before that certainly gave me the impression that this was going to be a weird job, but this was the first hands-on thing. This is a small reactor about the size of a hemisphere, about the size of a basketball, on a metal plate, and when it was running, it produced a gravitational field. A gravitational field of its own. Now this is something that we can't do. We can't produce any gravity. The only way we get gravity is from large quantities of mass. But there's no machine we can have that turns on that makes gravity. You can turn on an electromagnet and it makes a magnetic field. You can't make a gravitational field. Anyway, this device was producing, and Barry said, almost like he was bragging, go ahead, try and touch the sphere. And I couldn't. It pushed my hands away, just like two light poles of a magnet. So that was.
So like when you take two magnets and try to press them together.
Yeah, you have that. Yeah, kind of cushion feeling, but you can't get them together. The closer you put them, the more they push. But
you felt that physically
with my hand. Yeah. Now there's nothing that does that, and that immediately caught my attention. Going, wow, this is something else.
What was your thought? Like when you felt that and you knew that there was nothing that you were aware of that could produce
Then
this?
that connected me to the briefings that I read on the first day at S4 was that, everything that I had read was apparently accurate.
What were you reading?
I read, it was kind of an overview. This project was to back engineer the alien craft. And specifically, it was to try and back engineer and see if we can duplicate the technology with available materials. Now, to do this, they split the project into, many different pieces for several reasons. They do this on all classified projects, so nobody has the complete story, but they compartmentalize everything. And we had the power and propulsion system. So what briefings they gave me were like a 1 or 2 page overview of some of the other projects that were going on, on the craft. The only reason they do that is just in case what you're working on is connected intimately in some way that we don't know of to one of the other projects. You have to know their, their existence. So, again, they have everything from metallurgy to, weapon potential of the craft, and these were all, essentially very short briefings, but mine was just power and propulsion, and it made it very clear that what I read was accurate.
So when you were reading that, before you actually saw the reactor, what were your thoughts on what they were describing? If you knew that something like that didn't exist, and they're describing it in the briefings, what did you think you were going to see?
I didn't know at the time. I mean, I was reading, I thought, is this some kind of test?
See if you're crazy?
Well, not to see if I'm crazy, to, a lot of times they'll take in real high security jobs. I mean, they'll intentionally insert nonsense into them. Whether it's to confuse the fact, or if for someone was to leak it out, they would carry that information along and know where it came from. So I read through the documents, but I didn't know if this was part of some kind of test, or or what, or was it potentially realistic? I mean, I really didn't consider it being all that possible as far as being the actual thing that I was going to work on at the time.
How did they turn it on?
The reactor?
Yeah.
The reactor can be turned on or turned off in a lot of different ways. The way Barry showed me it, the hemisphere is removed. There's a small tower in the middle. When you put the hemisphere on, the reactor activates. The reactor shuts down. It's load sensing. So if there's no load on the reactor at all, it shuts down. When there's a load present on it, it starts up again.
Load meaning?
You can consider it an electrical load. So although it doesn't necessarily operate electrically, there's no wiring that connects any of the subcomponents together whatsoever. They just have to be in the immediate vicinity. The stuff is borderline magic, and that's essentially where we left it, when I left the project.
So there was no progress made?
There was some progress. I mean, we did identify, at least we think, some processes and had a rough idea, we think, of what was going on, but
I think this is a problem that they've had for a long time. And, you know, I was replacing somebody that Barry worked with prior to me. I think there was some horrific accident that I didn't have a whole lot of information on, but, you know, Barry alluded to that.
A horrific accident, like where someone died, or?
Yeah, where somebody died.
Because they were trying to tamper with things or figure out how something worked?
Yeah, the reactor in particular.
But yet he let you touch it.
Yeah, I think what they were trying to do was cut into one.
Okay.
Now they had more than one there, and that was supposedly there was an unannounced nuclear test, and that's what it was. At the time, remember, they were still doing underground nuclear tests at the test site. But from what I understand, according to Barry, there was an attempt made. Now this must have been a pretty desperate attempt because it's not very scientific process to, you know, analyze something that way. But it looked like they used a plasma cutter or something like that to cut into an operating radar.
How many of these things did they have?
They had nine craft altogether. I only got hands-on with one of them, so I can't really say how the others operated.
Did you see the other ones?
Yeah, at one time, and only one time, the bay doors that between the hangars were all open, and I could see all the way through.
And were they all exactly the same?
No, they were all different.
Different shapes?
Yeah.
But they were all from someone else?
Yeah.
Now, did anyone make any attempt to explain, to tell you really?
No one has at least been interested in letting everybody know all the facts. They wanted to be the minimum information that's necessary to make the test. So you're not getting the story of where it came from. You're not getting the story of what was other people maybe just focus on the small component.
But they gave you some indication of what they were.
Yeah.
When do you think they formed this?
I think they've been around.
So, they bring you to this room, you see this reactor, and you realize this is nothing as far as something as the ability.
We're still.
Is that where everything changes? I would imagine the moment you actually make contact with something that's extraterrestrial, something you actually absolutely be certain it's not a weapon.
Well, this is the only time that you can say. The rest of the time, people really couldn't get on this field any good work. But at that time, it was exciting. I mean, this was, now I do absolutely, actually, I was so absolutely excited to be there every single time. You know, I put pictures of him as the however, in short order, it began to concern me. We really have no idea. And the excitement really turned to dread at some point, because the amount of power we're dealing with is astronomical. I mean, to affect gravity, to produce the effects like this equipment does, takes huge amounts of power. And I've given the example before of taking a small portable nuclear reactor and putting it back in Victorian times, you know, with the scientists at the time, and just dropping it in the room. They come and look at it and see that it's producing power and wonder how it works, so they start taking it apart. And as soon as they get some of the shielding off, people are going to drop dead because of the radiation that's in it. Now, people have no idea that radiation even exists back then. But anybody that comes in to check on it will also drop dead. And, you know, there's no reason that that exact scenario couldn't happen with what we're dealing with. We have no idea how the physics operate with this. The power levels are, like I said, astronomical. Like, it's incredibly dangerous to tinker with something like that. And, you know, in some respects, we were guinea pigs, just trying to find out how to make this thing.
So they had a series, as far as your surmised that a series of different scientists trying to back engineer this thing, try to figure out what's the most new bring anything that's still alive.
Yeah, yeah.
And they
I don't know how many, but I knew there was certainly one before me, and I knew he died during the analysis of the reactor itself.
And you don't know how many have worked on it, and no one gave
This
any
could have been there
communication.
for 50 years. It could have been there for 5 years.
When they're giving you instructions, what are they saying? Like when they're giving you direction, showing you all this stuff, like what are they saying? What specifically? What are they asking of you?
Well, essentially what they ask is what I said. We are just to gather as much information as possible, find out how it operates, and see if we can duplicate it. So,
But they
I
never
was
told
really,
you where it was from. They never let you ask questions about where it's from.
well, if the information I read in the briefings was accurate, now what I do have to say is the information that pertained directly to the reactor was accurate. What I read did jive with reality.
In terms of how?
In terms of how it was made, what we saw, how it operated, the materials, how it, turned on, and what was discovered about it. I'm sorry, the migraine is really making it hard for me to think here.
Sorry, no, we talked that before the podcast. You tell everybody Bob was getting a migraine. I know you're very stressed out by this, which is one of the reasons why I appreciate you doing this.
Where was I already?
We were talking about
right,
the way you explained it.
And so there was some paperwork that indicated that this was from the Zeta Reticuli star system. Now, how they obtained that, I haven't the slightest idea. But it wasn't just from the Zeta Reticuli star system. It was what they called ZR3. So it was a third planet in that star system. So there was no other information about it other than that's supposedly where the craft came from. Now, is that true? I don't know. I have no way of verifying that. But that was printed in the same materials that referenced the reactor. Now, I looked that stuff up when I went home, and Zeta Reticuli is a binary star, two stars that orbit one another, and it's only visible in the southern hemisphere, and it's about 30 some odd light years away. So that's literally all the information I have about that. I don't know how they found out it came from there.
And you also probably have some suspicions that they give you some disinformation, like you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you ever decided to talk about this, they added a bunch of nonsense to make whatever is factual look ridiculous.
Right. Or be able to trace it down. Like, okay, this fax came
that
out
I've got
and,
2 degrees,
this Lazar guy
both in
said it
finance.
came from Zeta Reticuli, so they knew it was.
When you read Zeta Reticuli, you were like, what in the fuck is this?
Well, reading all of the stuff, it was, what in the fuck is this?
You're like, why did I sign up for this? Like, what?
No, to me, this was cool. This was interesting. I said, I was just excited
I'll
to
do
be out in
anything
a
as
secure
long as it's
area,
legal.
in the middle of the
Ish.
desert. I said, this is awesome. I
How
love
old are
it,
you at the time?
I was in my 20s.
Yeah, so you're probably totally geeked out.
Oh yeah, this was great. I mean, I was excited. So I didn't care. I'm reading through everything, and
so you read through all the Zeta Reticuli thing, but then when you see the actual starship with the little American flag sticker on it,
well, that was
that later or before?
That
I'm here
was
for you, boss.
before.
100%.
So before. So you see the thing before, and you say, "Oh, this is American."
Wait, what's that before?
Hard, so many years.
Yeah, I can't.
Either way, it doesn't matter.
The days have fused together.
What's
It's
cooking?
so hard to separate what happened in each visit to
Do you
the
remember
place.
the thought process when you read that it's from Zeta Reticuli?
Yeah, it didn't hit me like a ton of bricks or anything. It was just like, yeah, okay. And,
You think it was bullshit?
I don't know.
You just were
I
like,
don't. Now I don't. I mean, because when I read it, I hadn't verified anything, and
You
this was
thought
just a
about
bunch
giving
of
me some
stuff I
shares,
was
boss?
reading, and I thought maybe after this they're just going to give me a test and see what I can remember in crazy information, and then it would. But like I said, when I finally went in with Barry and had hands-on experience with what they were talking about, it took on a completely different meaning.
So there's a plate, there's this thing that looks like half a basketball, and when it's on, you can't come anywhere near it. You can't touch it.
Right.
What is gravity about that? Like the concept of gravity. Most people's gravity is bringing something towards it.
Right. Well, I guess you would say it's anti-gravity. It's gravity shifted 180 degrees. It's Anti-gravity.
And did they have any understanding about what could possibly create this effect? Did they have any areas where they'd like you to look into?
No, they knew there was a fuel source in it, and they were proficient at making it work. And again, my analogy to something like this is you can drop a motorcycle off in the wagon train days and just leave it with the keys parked outside, somebody's place. Everybody will come around it and they'll poke and prod, and eventually they'll turn the key, get it to start, and become proficient at riding it.
Yeah.
But they won't be able to understand what the hell's going on. They won't be able to make the plastic fender, much less anything else. And I think that's exactly the state we were at. We played around with the parts long enough before I got there where they could make the reactor operate, take the fuel out, and know that it makes it work. How exactly what was going on in the reactor remained a mystery at the time. I think we made some progress on what was going on inside, but I don't think anybody really knew anything. They could just watch what was going on and make note of it.
Created a sphere 20,000 years ago to build complex structures on the continent of Antarctica.
If the pre-Adamites existed, and Antarctica was their base where they built powerful pyramids to affect the planet, how would revealing this now affect the world we live in today?
We need to understand the forces that were involved in shaping the modern world.
2, 1, boom. And we're live. First of all, cheers, gentlemen. Let's have a little toast. Relax. Bob, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I understand that you've told the story many, many times. You've been grilled many, many times, and it's very stressful for you, so I really, really appreciate your time. For people who don't know the story, there's a documentary. Jeremy Corbell has a documentary out right now. It's called Bob Lazar, Area 51 and UFOs.
And Flying Saucers.
And Flying Saucers.
Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers.
Okay. I first heard your story decades ago. I told you last night when we went out to dinner, I've seen pretty much every interview you've ever given. I've followed the story incredibly closely. But for people who don't know the story, let's give them the bullet points. You used to work at Area 51. And Area 51, you went like, huh?
Well, we want to be accurate.
Okay.
Area S4.
S4, okay.
It's about 15 miles south of Area 51.
Okay. You worked in, how would you describe it?
I guess within the Area 51 compound. You can call that a subset of Area 51.
And you got that job. Before that, you were working...
Before that, I had worked at Los Alamos National Labs in New Mexico.
And you were involved in what kind of work?
Nuclear weapon development, physics. I mean, they do everything there.
So how do they approach... What?
No, I don't have a fan.
There's a little fan in.
does that. And that immediately caught my attention, going, wow, this is something else.
What was your thought? Like when you felt that and you knew that there was nothing that you were aware of that could produce
Then
this?
that connected me to the briefings that I read. The first day, really, I didn't really get to see a whole lot. The first day was essentially just paperwork. That's when I flew into Area 51 proper. And I left McCarran Airport and flew what they call the Janet flights. Just, you know, a passenger plane from Las Vegas to Area 51. And it was really just going through a mountain of paperwork that day. From security clearances to... God, it was like 2 or 3 hours of just solid paperwork, and that was really an uneventful first day.
When did things get weird? When did you realize? Like, at what point in time did you say, "Hey, this is not normal work. Like, this doesn't even seem like it's from this planet"?
That days.
The natural world has been bounteous to us.
I'd like to call them ambassadors from Gaia.
And just leave it with the keys parked outside, you know, somebody's place. Radioactive, it's another stable isotope of hydrogen, but tritium is radioactive. Now they're all hydrogen, but they just have different amounts of neutrons. So it's the same thing with other elements and element 115. Depending on the amount of neutrons it has, designates the isotope, but it's 115. They will continue to take or experiment and try and make 115 at different isotopes, and I'm sure eventually they'll come up with a stable version, but it's the stable version that has the properties that we're talking about.
So they somehow or another had acquired a stable version. Did they say that the stable version had come with this craft?
Yeah, it absolutely came with the craft, yeah.
So at the time,
Good to see you, boss.
having a firm knowledge of the periodic chart and knowing
Hi
what
there.
was real and what wasn't real, what was your reaction to having this stable
What do you
element
need?
115 that wasn't even supposed to exist?
Quite a
Well,
collection
everything
you've got
was
here.
impossible.
Right.
I mean,
Just
down,
let me know what
down
you
to
need.
the metal,
When
I
you
did
finish
get a
what you've
chance
got, I'll give you some more.
to look inside the
Are you
craft
sure you
on
need
only
more
one
snacks?
occasion, and
Looks
this was
like your
important
pockets are full.
because where the reactors sat might have been critical to how it operated, since everything operates without any interconnection, so the placement of components might be critical.